Good afternoon, everyone. My name is David Wilmon, and with me I have Austin Taylor. We are proposing the shopping center adaptive reuse zoning for Hackett House 2020 in the policy and regulatory reform category. In this time, we wanted to propose this quote: redeveloping the building and giving life brings the community hub back to life. Housing affordability solutions require innovative thinking, especially in the time we are now. And so what we want to do is set the mindset of looking at those innovative solutions.
Like David alluded to, COVID-19 is affecting us in a number of different ways. And the first one is it's changing how people shop. People are spending more money online than ever before, and that's impacting our shopping centers. About 400 or 300 malls are expected to close in the next 4 years, and hundreds of others will suffer from this move to online shopping. And at the same time, people are experiencing difficulty paying rent. 1/3 of Americans missed their rent payments this April, and this is disproportionately affecting our Black and Latinx population.
Thanks, Austin. And so for this next section, I wanted to draw out some of the opportunities that we identified in those underutilized shopping centers. In the 90s, we saw a big push with local governments developing policies that fostered a culture favoring shopping malls and ideal town center locations with ample parking spaces and a lot of excess space to be developed or redeveloped now. And so the specific site that we looked at was Provo Town Center Mall in Provo, Utah, where we're seeing some of those declining conditions and some of the big anchor retail businesses move away. In this area, in the census tract, it's located in an opportunity zone. It's an area that has a high Hispanic population with low income households, as well as a strong transit accessibility. So some of the market challenges, demographic considerations that I already mentioned, it's a high minority population. There's that limited land or landlocked within the city itself, and so they're looking for new areas to develop. And then there's also been the rising rent, which has had a disproportional impact on renters versus homeowners when we talk about cost burden households. And so when we want to implement adaptive reuse policy, we have to look at certain regulatory barriers to overcome. It's the zoning code, building codes, the review and permitting process, and inflexible parking requirements. And with that, I'll pass that off to Austin.
Thanks, David. So to overcome these regulatory barriers, we created our own zoning code that would apply to this mall site in Provo and could be replicated at other declining mall sites. So this code gives the developers a great amount of flexibility in the use of the buildings as well as the position of the buildings. And it also requires that they set aside 50% of the square footage for housing, and that 20% of that housing be held for residents at 50% AMI or lower for the next 30 years, and that 25% of the housing be sold to people in that low-income area so that they can build their wealth. What the zoning code does, the way it cuts costs, is it increases the buildable area by shrinking setbacks, allowing greater densities and building heights, and drastically reducing the parking requirements. And at the same time, it guarantees affordability for 20% of the units at that 50% AMI level, which is the same as LIHTC standards. And as you can see, the market rates for rent are not much higher than what the area median income allows in Provo. And so these small changes in zoning, we believe, will drive down the cost enough to hit that affordable level. These are some images of what the mall could look like inside. The small stores could be used for restaurants or small offices. The large big box and department stores could be used for recreational facilities, medical centers, large offices. And around the building, you could infill those massive underused parking lots with housing.
Thank you, Austin. So this zoning code that we're proposing will decrease development costs as well as open up opportunities to redevelop shopping centers that have been directly impacted from COVID-19 in areas like Provo and cities like it. You'll find the full code listed as an attachment in our submission. Thank you.